Trump administration's move to freeze all foreign aid has thrown into question billions worth of projects around the world. And unfortunately, the Philippines, through the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, is a major recipient of this. And so for our first guest tonight, let me bring in DepEd Assistant Secretary for Strategic Management, Roger Masapol. ASEC Masapol is an experienced policy analyst with the DepEd. Good evening and welcome to The Big Story, ASEC. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, good evening, ladies.
Hi, good evening, sir. Okay, so we're talking tonight about the U.S. Foreign aid freeze. First off, put it into context for us. How many programs have been affected, by your count, have been affected by this freeze?
Yeah. So overall, the overall portfolio of U.S. government is amounting to $94.02 million, composed of 5 programs or projects. But let me clarify that among the 5 projects, one of which is the biggest, has already ended. This is the support for the alternative learning system, amounting to $35,200,000. It has ended this month, and then the other one is just going to take off this year, no? And then there are 2 remaining programs that are directly affected by this halt order by the Trump administration, which is the ABC Plus, which is supporting DepEd in improving the reading program of or the reading proficiency of our learners, amounting to $47,500,000, and then the strengthening the inclusive education for blind and deaf children, or GABAI. So let me clarify that these 2 remaining programs directly affected are ongoing, and one of which is already halfway of its implementation.
94.02 million is just for DepEd, and that covers what duration, how long a period of time?
Well, the 2 remaining programs will end 2026.
No, $94 million is just for 1 full year. That's the USAID.
This is the 5 programs. Different time frame.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I've said that the first one, the one of the biggest, has already ended this month,
Right.
and then the other is about to take off, and the 2 remaining are all ongoing.
Right,
Okay.
right. I'm just trying to put into context first, because actually before the USAID freeze was announced, I checked the USAID, or rather shortly after that, I checked the USAID website and saw that for full year 2023, USAID actually spent $193 million on the Philippines. So I was wondering how much of that went to DepEd, how much of that went to other programs. Actually, we have that chart if you wanted to see if we could just call that up. $193 million in total for full year 2023. So I'm trying to understand, okay, $94 million was affected. For DepEd, was that just for 1 year? Was that multi-year? You see, there we go. Environment, health, government, and civil society. This is not a comprehensive list, by the way. This is just a snapshot of the programs that they've spent on, again, for full year 2023.
Allow me to just pipe in, Reg. ASEC, would it be that the projects are funded on a per project basis? Meaning, for example, if I may inallot for these 5 programs, the budget is already for the entirety of the project, or parang installment ba siya per year? Does it get paid out in tranches from USAID? Can you give us a picture of paano po yung funding?
Yeah, that's a good question. The project has this timeline, no? And the entire budget, for example, this ABC Plus of 47 million. The project duration is 4 years, no? So pero nagtapos na siya. So ibig sabihin, yearly yung tranche nung release nung budget based on the work plan that was developed and agreed upon by DepEd.
Okay, so for example, for ABC Plus, $47 million for ABC Plus, and because ABC Plus will run for 4 years, is it 47 million per year, or is it 47 million divided by 4 at yun yung nakukuha natin kada taon?
Tama po yun. I-divide po yun doon sa duration ng program. But let me clarify, no. This
Sige
ABC Plus is already at 79% completion. So ibig sabihin, konti na lang siyang natitira. Out of 47 million, mayroon na lang 6.9 million na natitira. So ibig sabihin, parang na-spend na yung bulk of the grant for the
Oh,
ABC Plus.
I see.
Okay.
So now the big question is 6.9 million remaining that needs to be funded. Where are we getting the money?
Let me clarify that the other program, the remaining is 627,570. So if we add this, we have remaining 11.8 million dollars. So this is the directly affected by the whole order by the Trump administration.
11.8.
So
So,
in
ASEC,
short,
saan nga po manggagaling or meron po ba tayong alternative sources para magpatuloy po itong mga programang ito?
Well, the Secretary Sani Angara has already ordered to map out the remaining activities funded by this program. And luckily, we already mapped this out against our 5-point reform agenda. And then we are looking at two sources of possible funds, actually three. Number one is those funds that are considered savings from the last year. And the other one are those funds that are not used last year. Now, we consider this as continuing fund. And the third one is we are looking at partners na pwedeng sumalo doon sa mga remaining programs ng DepEd.
I was just wondering.
Sorry. Number one is savings from the unused funds from the previous year. Number two is what?
Continuing fund.
Continuing.
Aren't they the same?
No. It's, hindi nagamit yung continuing. Pero yung savings, nagamit siya pero may natira. That's the difference. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's a government speak, no, ASEC, kung baga ganun kayo talaga mag-partition ng inyong funding.
Yes,
Ang
yes.
tanong, so, ang kumbaga, because USAID pulled out, ang suma total, ang nabutasan ng funding ay $11.8 million. And like you said, and as has been published and reported in the news, no, nagsabi na nga si DepEd Secretary Angara na he will really find alternative sources for this. One of the sources is hinikayat niya yung private sector to step up and help. How is that effort going? Meron na bang nag-volunteer? Because even before USAID pulled out, he was already encouraging the private sector to partake, no, in a classroom building, textbooks, etc. How is the reception by the private sector? Are they willing to step up and partner up with the DepEd for these projects?
Yes. Yeah, so it's very much receptive because this ABC Plus supports DepEd on improving our reading program. No? So ibig sabihin, may mga other partners that an advocacy nila is also on reading. Mga local initiatives like mga NGOs, ganyan. So they also have this initiative to help DepEd improve the reading program. So we are looking at that so that we can mitigate yung effect noong pag-halt noong ating grant ng USAID for the Philippines, especially sa DepEd.
I'm just trying to, okay, so what is the timeline here then to cover the shortfall? I know that you're in discussions and it might take a while, but what's the target here? Because at the moment, everything is in limbo, right?
Well, actually sa DepEd, it's not actually in limbo because, for example, yung the requirement of the projects for next year, because we are in the middle of preparing the budget for 2026, we are making sure that the activities lined up for next year will be included in the 2026 budget proposal of DepEd.
So
Meaning
kumbaga,
to say the DepEd can absorb the shortfall at this point? Like,
Yeah,
for instance,
by next
for
year,
ABC
because,
Plus?
Yeah, by next year, we will absorb because the activities lined up funded by the US government is also our priorities. So, hanapan natin ng bahay. Ibig sabihin ng bahay, ito yung mga line items na budget ng DepEd.
but for 2025, no? So I guess ito yung pero medyo nabulaga tayo at the start of the year 2025. As we know, napasa yung budget, napakadami pang issue doon. With the reduced budget and everything, what will happen this year? So mukhang next year magagawa natin ng paraan because you're still drafting the budget for that. But for
this
2025,
year, they took
Yeah,
some
yeah.
money out
Oo.
of the DepEd.
yeah, so how much, no, ASEC, just
Yeah,
for
so-
this year?
Yeah, let me clarify na itong mga program na to, mayroon lang specific na mga targeted regions like yung ABC Plus. It's supporting Region 5, Region 6, and BARM. So, hindi siya nationwide. But developing, ang role ng program is developing a model that can be scaled up by DepEd. Like itong isa pa, ang ano niya lang is, ang kanyang sinusupan is Region 4A, Region 4B, NCR, Region 5, and Region 7 with selected provinces and cities. So the magnitude is that kung susumahin natin, ang affected learner lang nito is 2.8 million learners, mga bata.
Across
That's a
how
lot.
many regions?
Yung ABC Plus is 5, 4, and BARM. Ang inclusive education is 4A, 4B, NCR, 5, and 8.
So mga 3 to 5.
Karamihan dito sa mga activities are teacher training and then developing policies and research, conducting research and developing policies, and developing learning resources. So yung bulk ng expenses or mga activities that are funded by this program. So and yung effect doon sa estudyante is a little bit indirect because the training is for teachers, developing, well, yung learning materials is direct for students, no? But we are doing our best to mitigate nga yung effect nitong bigla ang pagtigil ng mga grants ng USAID for basic education.
But doesn't ABC Plus have to do with early grade literacy?
That's correct po.
Yeah,
K to
you're
3
saying
po.
it has an
focus.
indirect effect on the learners? I mean, how does that work?
Kasi po ma'am, mayroon din ang DepEd ng National Reading Program. Kumbaga nakasabay din itong program nito sa aming National Program for Improvement of Reading. Kaya madali siyang hanapan talaga ng pondo because that's our priority also. Right now, I cannot, wala pa akong masasabi kung magkano yung aming, kasi hinahanapan pa namin ng pondo na pwede magamit. We are also looking.
That's why I'm a little bit surprised, Azek, to hear you say madaling hanapan ng pondo because, when it comes to funding issues, I know we're always scrambling. There's never enough money in government, right? So I'm a little surprised to hear you say madaling hanapan ng pondo, especially when it comes to education. Do we still have Azek? I think
As I've said, meron kaming mga pwedeng makuha nga within our budget and then our partners.